Okay, you want to call it to order?
Hopefully when she drops off. Yeah. Okay. I gotta do the attendance first. This meeting is being recorded and it is Zoom only. So let me go down the list. Norm,
Here.
Mike Coombs,
Here.
Malcolm DeBay,
Here.
Mike DeBay. Don't see him yet. Dick Granel's here. Scotty Graves,
Here.
Deb Horat,
Here,
Eric Muller,
Here.
and Paul Murphy. Paul, you're muted. You can unmute yourself, but we know you're there. Okay. And we don't have any guests so far. So
Doug Moglen just jumped in.
Doug Moglen.
he was coming on to help us get on. Okay, I got him listed and don't see anybody else. So we can get on to any on the minutes. Everybody get a chance to read the minutes?
And Doug, we're all set. So if you want to hang on, go ahead. But if you don't want to, we're all set.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Take care, Doug. Okay,
Bye,
any comments on the minutes?
I'd like to make a motion to approve them as written.
Okay, that's Norm. And a second, somebody?
I'll second.
Deb? And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Unanimous. Let me run down the list. I think Mike is having trouble getting on. I just getting a text from him.
He is.
Okay,
Yeah.
Norm,
Aye.
Mike Coombs,
Aye.
Malcolm,
Yes.
Dick Granels, yes. Scotty,
Aye.
Deb,
Yeah,
Eric,
Yes.
Paul.
Aye.
Okay. Affirmed.
Mike says he's waiting for the host to let him in. Can you
Yeah,
do that?
I just clicked and it says joining now for
Okay.
him. So
Okay.
I don't see him, but it still says joining.
Okay.
It's possible he has to click something now.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Doug knows what we have to do.
There he is.
Yeah, there's a debate.
He made it.
All right.
He's in.
All set.
Just gotta unmute himself. You can unmute yourself, Mike. Mike DeBay.
Bottom left.
Yeah. You're muted. Your mouth is moving and nothing's coming out.
Don't we wish we could do that in real life?
There we go. Okay. So we've got the minutes. Any public comment? Mike is still muted. Bottom left on your screen has the mute button.
Your lips are moving, but nothing's happening.
Yeah.
Scroll
Can't
down
hear you, Mike.
bottom left on the screen. There should be a little microphone you can click on.
Right, where it says mute or unmute.
Mine wouldn't work. I had to go to the upper right-hand corner to unmute.
That's
Ah.
it. There you go.
There you go. There you go, Mike.
With this
Hey,
now.
Mike.
Okay.
It wasn't my mute button, it was my screen went blank on it.
Oh,
It went back to the
That's worse.
wouldn't let me in thing, whatever. Okay, sorry.
okay. So we have, first on the list here is conservation. Norm?
Yes, there was a meeting this past Monday, but there was nothing on the agenda that impacted the lake. So I have no update for Concom.
Okay. No lake updates. Yep. And the next one is the master plan subcommittee update. And that's you.
Yes. So today I selected 3 of the responses related to the lake. I summarized policing, weed control, and non-residents. And the policing one is, if you went through them, you can see there's a lot on there about speed, not not, following the rules, alcohol consumption, police presence, safety in general. There should be nothing there to surprise anybody on the committee. It's pretty much what we've been talking about all along. Now, this has not yet gone to the police chief yet. I'm kind of waiting to get approval to send all this stuff out. But that's pretty much what covers the police. Now, on the police, you realize that when people make comments about not following the rules of the lake, the police can't enforce that. They can only enforce what items that are in a bylaw. You know, so they can.
Why?
Huh?
Why? You said they cannot?
That's correct. That's what the chief told me.
He
I
cannot
don't think
enforce.
that's correct.
So if somebody's going counterclockwise, he will not be stopped.
That's not a bylaw, right?
That's not a bylaw.
No, but they can enforce bylaws, correct?
Correct. And
Okay, all right.
littering, they can enforce littering, but only if it's seen, you know, they caught him in the act.
Yeah.
Okay.
They can
Yeah.
enforce all mass general law there.
Yeah,
Okay, the second item I added was the item about non-residents. There's a lot of discussion here about a lot of the problems on the lake are caused by non-residents.
Yeah.
And basically they're saying, let's keep them off the lake. Well, we can't keep them off the lake.
can't do that.
It's a state lake, and the state dictates that they can use all the parking spaces that are available. You know, so this is one that's I think part of the education process that I talked about before, that we probably need to put something on, probably on the Southwick LMC page about the lake, ownership of the lake, and the lake rules. We got some lake rules on there now, but I think you know, this is just saying that a lot of people just don't understand. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's generally coming across hard and heavy across the entire survey. So
I think also, I think there's an unfair characterization that you know, daytime users are somehow you know, much less compliant with the laws and rules on the lake.
Yeah.
And I'm not at all convinced that's true. When I mean, I wish that were the case, okay, but I'm not at all convinced that's true. Or I think we see plenty of violators that are not daytime users, but
yes,
Eric, daytime users, you mean non-residents is what you're talking about.
right. In other words,
Okay.
yeah, daytime users, right. I mean, non-residents who are.
Never heard the term before.
Yeah, okay. You know, I don't know what the right way to say it is, but I you know, I hear that from time to time, but then when we look around, you know, at some of the offenses that we're most concerned with, you know, like nighttime boating at speed, I think that's actually people who live on the lake.
It is.
Yes.
It is.
Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
because most of the non-residents,
Oh,
most of the
Go ahead.
non-residents that come in through the launch facilities have taken their boats out of the water by 7 or 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, Norm, can I ask a question? On
certainly.
the column on the left has big numbers. Is that the number of the question or the amount of people?
The response number,
Yeah, well, on the left-hand side, it says like 147, 243. Are that,
Yep.
what is
That
it,
is the
question number or?
when the person that filled out the response and submitted it, they received a number
Oh,
for each question, and that's
okay,
just that identifies the owner.
Ah,
okay.
Who made it, okay?
okay. And in the right-hand column, they're all like ones. What does that mean? It's a one priority or?
It's just that there was only, that person only made one comment,
Oh, okay,
okay?
okay.
So, yep. It's
Yeah.
just a way to total the number of comments made for each option.
Which is most of them. Most of them only made one comment then.
Right.
that's correct. Well,
Okay.
it's partially true. Some
Okay.
people, because the question asked for, give me your highest priority problem. If
Okay.
they listed 3, I only took the first one because it asked for 1,
Okay.
okay? But that was, so the response quantity is just so that I can easily total it up,
Okay. Okay.
okay?
Yep.
And then the last one that we're presenting tonight is the weed control. And
Yeah.
if you go through that, you know, you can generally see that we have an education problem, that invasive species is very heavily throughout this entire option 1, option 2, and option 3. And in reality, it's a very small percentage of the weeds we have in the lake.
Right.
So
And
I think,
we can help that by education also
right,
on our, because a lot of people do not understand that you can't just get all the weeds in the lake because if they're invasives, we can treat them. If they're
Right.
not invasive, we can't do anything.
so I'm not sure who the right person is to do an education on the weeds and put that together to put on our Southwick page, but I think it needs to be done.
I think we can ask Ken. We've got the money to do that. Ask Ken to
Okay.
summarize that.
Dick, what about that green paper brochure that we had? That showed the invasive weeds versus.
I think we need stuff in color on the website, as that's black and white, you know, because there's some great photos of the different kinds of species that are in Congamon. And that way, and Ken could probably help us there, point out how you differentiate between the good milfoil and Eurasian water milfoil, which is an invasive,
Right.
you know, and unless Eric, I don't know if that's something you think you could manage, but
No,
Yeah.
I think he's definitely the one, there are subtleties when you look at these.
Yeah.
And he knows how to identify them and I don't. Certainly I can look stuff up in a book, but that's not the same as having somebody who really knows. But I think, the overall point that we could make is in every year in May, we have a professional outfit come out and do a survey of the lake
Yeah.
with regard to weeds. There are areas where we detect invasive weeds and we treat to take those weeds out. And we do that every year in May. And the other areas have weeds, but those weeds are not invasive. They are natural and, you can remove them by mechanical means, but we can't treat them chemically to kill them off. They are part of a healthy lake.
yeah. One
And
thing I
need them,
like
essentially.
just back up, where you were talking about the violations, Norm.
Yes,
I think a lot of that points to what we have been trying to what we have supported as a committee for a long time is licensing requirement like 30 some other odd states already have, and we're in the minority for not requiring a license.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yep.
Okay. So, we got in December, we have the focus groups are gonna take place. It looks like there's 7 of them. There's gonna be the one that covers transportation, public facilities and service. One that will cover housing. One that will cover economic development. Another will do culture, historic and open spaces. And there's gonna be a youth group for junior high and a youth group for senior high. And then the last one will be sustainability, climate change, and resilience. So it'll be interesting to see who's on that and the results of that. We don't have any results yet from the visioning process. We'll probably see those on Thursday night, which is our next meeting.
Ah,
And just to let you know, I am working on a massive survey summary of the entire survey so that becomes a useful tool. And I might present part of that on Thursday night. I'm not quite, I still got quite a bit to do. It'll be over 100 slides. It'll be a PowerPoint presentation that I think will have high impact for people that need to make decisions.
Excellent.
So
And we could, would you like me to put that on for our December meeting? Too early?
do you want to see the whole thing?
Yeah.
No,
We
Reader's
don't have 2
Digest-
hours.
Digest version.
That sounded a lot like, be careful what you ask for.
Right.
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 Well, I think once it's done, we'll do it piecemeal, just like we're doing the individual results like we're doing now. I think it'll have a bigger impact on everybody, and you get too much, you'll get bogged down in it.
Yeah,
You won't
your brain
retain it.
gets foggy real
Yeah.
fast.
So we'll get some of that.
Okay,
And that's my
Well,
update.
keep you on there for the December meeting.
Yep.
Okay,
Thanks, Norm. A lot
anything
of
else?
work.
Yep.
Okay, we can move on. CRC update. Deb, do you have anything?
Yeah, I wasn't at the last meeting, so I'm sure Michelle talked about the golf and how successful it was.
She wasn't either.
Oh, okay. Well, it was great. It was very
Well,
successful.
I think she was briefly.
Okay. But of course, we're on hiatus until the spring. We are having the CRC annual party, Christmas party, holiday party, whatever you'd like to call it. That's going to be Saturday, December 3rd. And it's going to be $35, the same as it's been in the last year. It's going to be at the Brass Rail. And you can get tickets at congamon.org, or you can contact me and I can get you tickets. So cocktails from 6 to 7, dinner and dancing from 7 to 10:30. Acoustic Thunder is the band that we're going to have. So hope to see some of you guys there.
Yeah,
Again, December 3rd.
yeah. Anything else for CRC?
Nope. Oh, except, the everlasting question, how are those buoys coming?
It's funny you mentioned that, because I had a lengthy conversation with the chief in the stairwell today. And so what we were talking about is the first one, I'm looking at some further modifications to the prototype, which is made out of steel. The actual ones will be made out of aluminum. The steel ones could tip the buoy over.
Too heavy, right?
They are really heavy. And they have a good source of air tanks, they're scuba tanks,
Right.
because they only last X number of years, however, whatever, I don't know what that time frame is, but they have a supply. The person who supplies them to them has offered them to them because he normally would scrap them for the aluminum. He's offering to them to cut the bottoms off them, which is what we want, the part that has the base, which would be bolted, the part that get bolted down to the buoy. And he's also talked more with the sheriffs and also with another company that offered to make an aluminum prototype for us, which is what I'm working on, is sketching some changes, because I think we can simplify what was done, so that we don't wind up with everything being custom. Instead of tabs, what I was envisioning is a round disc that gets welded inside, and they can CNC machine the holes and thread them. That would be for the light and for the guard that goes over it. And that whole thing has to be recessed. The guard has to be recessed, so you can't knock it off. You know, you just want it so it can peek out. So we've got we now got a plan. We said we have all winter to do it. He's, Chief is going to have one made up from the next sketch that I make. And at this company, that's a machine shop, they offered to do that. And so they'll make the prototype and then he'll take that to the sheriffs and the sheriffs will spit them out. They'll make the actual parts.
So you think we'll have them for the spring?
Yes, yes. Yep.
How many you think?
Well, we're gonna make enough to do all the buoys eventually, but if we can get for the spring, if we can get a dozen, that would be good because we could cover the primary areas like the sandbar and the entrances to the tunnels, you know, to the culverts and like that, the critical areas.
Okay, and don't forget, if you need funding, CRC is willing to help.
Yeah, and that's where we could use the funding is to actually buy the lights.
Okay,
Okay,
all right, just keep us advised.
okay, that's good.
Thank you.
So you got that update, so I won't have to cover that later.
Okay,
Doesn't matter where we do it. Okay.
yep, yep,
Anything else from CRC?
nope.
Okay, so next item up for bid is 141 Congamon Road. And at the last meeting, I was tasked to summarize everybody's inputs and the various letters that we've had in the past where we have issues that are still outstanding, which I did. And there are actually 3 letters, 3 emails that were issued, which you have copies of all of them in your package. The first one went to DEP because that permit has not yet been issued. So they're still they're absorbing the inputs and making up their mind what they will and won't permit in the Chapter 91 license. So if you read the first one, if you read the first one, past tense, you can see it reiterated the issues that we've had with having the docks stick out 150 feet and interfering with the traffic going through the culvert. In summary, Arlevec did not ever put, which they said in the letter they did, but you can look at the drawings yourself, they're there, that they would put the culvert on the plans and show the distances to the culvert with respect to the ends of the 150-foot long docks. They did not do that. I marked it up on the one that they submitted to DEP, so you can see what the issues are. And definitely the 150-foot ones bring the center line of the no wake zone, it's no wake and headway speed only for 300 feet out. So 150 feet of dock and 150 feet off the ends of the docks. So that's 300 feet. That puts it right at the center line of the culvert. So, yeah. And the other thing, the comment that they made in the Levesque letter was, Rand Nelson's info, was that, well, people can just hover over to the eastern side. Well, you can't do that. And the whole thing that I explained in there was that it's visibility. It's trying to see what's on the other side before you pass through. And you can't do that if everybody's clustering around it and have no place to get out of there. You know, basically the way you operate now is you go through it and you get out of it. You don't just sit and go fishing in the entrance to the culvert. So I don't know if anybody, you know, did everybody get a chance to read that? Any comments? Did I miss anything? Because I tried, you said, you know, capture all the points that were made in the last meeting, which is what I tried to do.
I think it was good.
Yeah, it's
The-
awesome.
You know, one of the challenges is, does the reader pay attention? Because we all know what the issue is because
Yeah.
we've driven boats through the culvert and go, yeah, I have to be able to line up and look through to see that it's clear. But when we try and say that in words, I'm not sure, it's just not 100% clear to me unless the person's really paying attention that they'll realize what the problem is.
And if the reader's not a boater, it's a problem.
Right, that, look, you have to be able to get lined up to look all the way through to know it's clear so that you can safely go. And if there are boats, that are, as you say, hanging around or being forced to go the wrong way, then you're not going to be able to do that. And people are going to go and we're going to have accidents.
Yep. And to use, Scuderi never had docks, couple things. He never had docks that stayed there all winter. They were tucked over into the corner, which was a deal that conservation made temporarily. He was told to get them out of the water, but because they weren't permitted. His docks were never licensed by DEP. So, and I looked at the lengths, and the lengths never got to be 150 feet long. They were, the way they were configured, they were roughly 80 feet off the shore, which is big difference to that and 150.
You only had the one dock though, right?
Right.
With the fingers coming off. By the way, I'm embarrassed to say, and I don't know why this happened, I was not able to download any of the reading file. I don't know why.
Did anybody else have a problem?
No,
No,
I don't know.
I had a problem, Dick. I had a problem with it. It opens up because it's a TIFF file versus a PFD.
Yeah,
And once you figure that, once you know that, then you're fine.
okay. So you were able to open it then, once you opened
Yeah,
it.
it's just that it opens up in something, I'm looking at it going, okay, where's the regular tools you would use to read something or search for something?
Yeah, like
So it's
Adobe.
different.
Yeah,
But,
or Adobe Reader.
yeah,
Okay,
so Scotty, you may not have something that opens a TIFF up, which is nothing more than like a picture file or something.
yeah, it's
I
a
think it's
picture.
called let my wife do it because she's the guru. I'm not.
Sounds like good advice, no matter
Whatever,
what.
whatever works.
Quit while you're ahead.
Yeah, right.
Deb,
Okay, and then there was one that went to the select board and there was an internal email to cover the other things that are not related to the docks and the interference with the culvert. In other words, not Chapter 91 issues per se. And that summarized the issues with the sewer pumps, that one doesn't work and the other one's not attached. So, that obviously has to get fixed.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's really critical there is that wet well is right next to and at the same grade as a catch basin that's tied into our system, which it never was allowed. It was never permitted to do that. And that flows directly across the street into Middle Pond. So it goes through a base separator, but a base separator only takes out granular materials and floating objects. It does not take out E. coli bacteria. Doesn't work that way.
Wouldn't most of those things be a cheap fix? Wouldn't they be a cheap fix while the driveway's not installed yet?
Yeah, disconnect it, right.
Yeah.
whose jurisdiction is that, Dick? I mean, is it DEP? Is it,
No, well, it's our DPW has to make that happen.
so that's
And the
Randy
health
Brown?
department
Yes, it's Randy Brown.
and the health department, maybe?
Health department can make that happen too. They can mandate because of it actually violates our own stormwater bylaws because you got private connection to a public system. So it's just a matter of it's really got to go because there is no safety if something happens to that system. A, it's not alarmed right now. And B, if it fails, even if we're alarmed and it fails, the only place it's gonna go is in something that's right next to it, the same elevation. When it fills up, it's gonna flow right into that catch basin and right on into the lake.
Well, has he
And
been
why is
advised
no-
of that?
why
That
is
it should-
nobody in
should
the
be
town
taken care of?
involved?
One at a
Yeah.
time.
Go ahead, Scotty.
I say, has he been advised of all these things that
Yes,
need
he
to be
has.
taken care of?
Yes, he has. He was
Well,
advised by the,
But
uh,
he'll never get a permit to open a place without doing those things, I would think.
I hope that's the case. I mean, it's protecting the lake. The water
Yeah.
quality could go to hell real fast. And I don't know, that's the other thing that we raised. Who's the one that's liable? Because if we, the town, continue to allow this connection to the stormwater system from a private system to a public one, and his sewage flows into that system. Question is, are we complicit in cleaning it up? I don't know
Yes,
the answer to that.
yes, we are. Hey, Dick, I noticed that it went to Randy Brown, Mike Doherty, Russ Fox, but I didn't see the health inspector on the email. I'm just wondering, is that on there?
It was. Let me just double check. I'll make.
I'm
if I
looking
did-
at it's page 33, I believe.
All right, let me look at it.
Anyways, I was gonna say, maybe you might want to forward to him.
Oh, absolutely. If I missed that.
I see Christine Hops on it. I mean,
Plenty of people in the public were quite upset when the town beach had to be closed for a little while because of
Yeah.
soli. You dump a whole bunch in there and you're gonna get a whole lot more closure than that.
Okay, I will forward that to health inspector. Health agent.
I mean, and those pumps fail. I mean,
Absolutely.
it happens regularly.
Yes, they sure do.
This is not you guys are worried about something that never happens. Those pumps fail, right, Dick? I mean,
Yeah, we
you're
replace
replacing those constantly.
probably 25, 30 per year. Because we have a supply, it's a
Right.
a pool.
Rebuild.
And
Yeah.
they're rebuilt. We have some new ones and the other ones get rebuilt by the company that manufactured them. And so when it dies, plus all ours are alarmed. All the ones that the town had installed have a light and a horn.
mhm.
So they are duly alarmed. And that's the plumbing law. You have to have it. And our building inspector said, absolutely, it has to be alarmed.
Dick, I would assume that was not an issue this summer because Krabby Joe's was closed all year.
Right.
So it probably had no bearing on what was going on at the town beach.
And well, that said, here's the other thing. If you read the whole letter, the restrooms that are downstairs were supposed to have been documented to find out where does that sewage flow? Because think about it, they're 8, maybe 9 feet. And actually the pipe itself is probably 10 feet below grade. Because there isn't much space between the sill of the upstairs building and the pavement. And the
Right.
pump system is out in the
Parking lot.
parking lot. So how do you get the stuff that's downstairs, upstairs, unless it goes through another pump?
They gotta pump it.
Yeah, that's why we wanted to see a dye check, because originally, I can tell you a fact, originally, those went into a septic system before the sewers came in. There was no sewer there. So
Well,
they went
let's be
in,
honest, without throwing any mud, nothing would surprise you.
yeah.
In that area.
So that's still an open item that really has to be addressed.
Yeah.
And I know Kyle Scott has had discussions with Randy about it, because he wanted to be there when they did a dye check, as does Sabrina from Concom, and the health agent wants to be there when they do the dye check. So I'll make sure I forward that email to our health agent, to Alex. that's a good catch. Sometimes when you're trying to get these things out.
Yeah.
You forget somebody. Anything, and the third one was to catch up with the one that's 11-4. Excuse me, getting dry here. The one that's 11-4, what page is that one on?
35. I think it's right around 35, that one.
Let's see. No, that's
No,
that's October 11-4 is on.
looking here now.
It's on page 43.
I got it. There you go.
And that was to explain the MassDOT position. And basically MassDOT has said they would allow the construction of the parking spaces, but it has to be with a granite curb on the inside and outside. Well, when they do that, we lose the ability to ever have a sidewalk there, because that narrows that down to 2 feet. Sidewalk has to be by MassDOT regs 5 feet wide. And you normally have a space. So, and you can't have parking, you can't have vehicles that can infringe upon the 5-foot width. So that says what's there now really has to stay there if there's ever going to be a sidewalk. And the original intent was that sidewalk was extended under this project, under the Congamon Road project, to the limits of the project, which is, if you're looking at Krabby Joe's entrance, it's to the right. So it comes in from Beach Road, partway in, and then it stops. That was the limit of the project. The culvert project put a sidewalk over the culvert. So we have about 200 feet to join, and then it's right at Connecticut's door. So Connecticut could put a sidewalk to carry anything, 202 and 10. There's sidewalk. So
I personally think it'd be a little dangerous on that curve going around to the left from Krabby Joe's side to ever put a sidewalk in there up to the bridge or continuing on.
well, that's why there's granite in there, Scotty. That's common. And they could even, if they, in the design, they can always put a guardrail, but you need footage because the sidewalk has to be 5 feet wide and the guardrail normally takes up 2 feet. So now you're talking 7 feet to put a guardrail there. And that's common. That, there are plenty of sidewalks around. There's sidewalk up on the curve, up at the top of Congamon Road, and there's a guardrail there. So,
It's just a little bit of a hairy corner to begin with.
Oh, yeah. But walking in the streets even hairier, if you think about it.
And there's always people there. There's always people
absolutely.
there.
Right. I guess what I'm saying is I'm not trying to encourage people to start fishing from the bridge.
You're not allowed to.
I'm just saying, I'm just trying not to encourage people to do that.
And we have new signs for that. Much better signs, which will be put up in the next couple of weeks. Because the other ones were getting so that you couldn't read them. Anyway, any other comments on that third letter, the 11-4 letter, page 43?
Nope.
Do we need to do anything else right now?
Think so.
This all rests with the DEP, with Select Board, Randy Brown. There's actions that are needed by various town officials. So I know that Kyle has been very supportive, the building inspector slash zone code enforcement officer. So he's had discussions with Randy about it.
Where does Lebec stand on that? Do they get a copy of any of that or no?
We can't send it to him. That has to go from the planning board.
DEP? Oh, planning board. Okay.
Planning
Just
board.
wondered,
Yeah.
just wondered how it worked.
I will, it's a good question. What I'll do is I will make sure that PB send RLA and Ken Eggleston letters, emails. Yeah, we're not,
Yep,
that's not in our purview to send it out to them.
right.
Okay, just wonder how it works.
Yeah, but I will take care of that. That I can always ask. I'll ask John Goddard because he's the planner. Because it would be up to him or Mike Doherty to send it out. Anything else on 141 while we're still on that? Okay. We had a runaway float that appeared. You'll see the picture in there. It was sitting off the south ramp dock wall. And it turns out it came from number 62 Berkshire. And it's a renter had it. It's not the owners, it's a renter. And the renter, you can see it was partially sinking because it had 2 aluminum tubes and one of them's obviously waterlogged, but it's sitting in the water really cockeyed and you can't even see the second tube. So the owner was really nice about it. And he was contacting his tenant and saying, A, you got to go get a permit for everything that you got there, your dock, your boats, and that float. And it has to be done through conservation. So he told him, here's what you got to do.
Okay.
So he will be doing that. And it's been removed. So it just meandered, somehow got down there. And you could see it looked like some kind of a chain or something that was dragging, a rope or a chain. I think it was probably a rope because you could see some of it on the water. So at any rate, that's what happened there. And the last thing I gave you copies of was the Sofinowski Preserve land assessment. And a group went in and they were doing, I guess you could call it like mini archaeological digs to try and determine how it relates to Lake Hitchcock. And I think I've mentioned that before. You actually have a picture of Lake Hitchcock in there. Very, very interesting. Google it sometime. Lots of history on our valley, on the Connecticut Valley and Lake Congamon, strangely enough, because we were part of Lake Hitchcock. So they did a lot of sampling and whatnot, and we will see data as they analyze it. And I will present, pass that on to you folks. And the last thing in the handout, there's a special town meeting on the 15th of November for broadband. In other words, the Westfield system to come into Southwick, and it has to be voted on twice. So the first time will be at that special, and then the second time will be at the annual town meeting, and before they can do anything. So you've got all the info right there, what it will be. And, I encourage everybody to read it. There's some more information out, which I will send out. It just came out. Too late for me to get it in this package, but I will email it. It will be in the package that you would get if you went to that town meeting. Okay. But you'll have it in advance. You can actually see it on the website. It's already there on the town website. But I might as well, email it to you so you don't have to go hunting for it. Does anybody have anything else?
Is there a holiday party this year?
I haven't seen anything about it yet. It's a good question. I will have to ask.
So one thing, Dick, a number of residents asked us over the winter to think about and look into options for sampling plans regarding E. coli.
And that's with the select board right now. They are, Doug Moglen has got that R for the select board. And a meeting has to be set up that would be conservation, lake management, health, board of health, health agent, select board.
All right,
And-
so I've collected up some information and had some interactions with Ken about it, so we can talk about it a bit.
Okay, if you want to send me that.
Yeah, it's you know, some of it's, you know, in notes and in my head, and some of it's in an email.
Well, you be part of the meeting anyway, because their intention was, and I suggested we even get Ken there, you know, pay
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, we could potentially do that. The part of the story here is this issue's probably being I almost want to say blown out of proportion. You know, so I think we want to take a measured response here, because we, the town, could spend an awful lot of money
Oh, God, yes.
to really not do anything very valuable. So I think we should be cautious here.
And I'm glad you mentioned that.
Hog Wild.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of the things I have said many times is I liken this unto, is the ice safe?
Yeah.
You can't answer that. Nobody, you will not find a town official in their right mind.
Right. Who would answer that question?
Will answer that question, because it can be safe right here where I'm sitting, or right
Yep.
where Norm is, and walk 10 feet out and you disappear through an inch of ice.
Yeah, where it was thin. So I think yeah, so that's not a half bad analogy. I think what we probably, if I'm in that meeting, what I would suggest is maybe we want to have funds available so that if the E. coli level goes over a certain level, that the testing, the more expensive testing, can be done to determine what creature that E. coli came from.
Okay, that's a good point.
Was that people? You know, because that's
So
the
they can
septic.
determine that. They can determine that.
Yes, they can determine that. It's a DNA test, basically.
Ah,
But they can do that test and tell you what critter this came from.
wow.
And, you know, and there's, you know, if it's people critter, okay, well, you got a septic system to go find. You know, if it's ducks, that's one thing. If it's dogs, you know, what is it? And I think that, I think that is worthwhile.
Yes.
You know, especially because there've been questions, you know, like, hey,
Where'd it
you know, could some of this have come from 141? I don't know. You know, it seems like a distance. I'm not sure that makes sense, but we could test and then just answer and say, yeah, okay, look, it was not human. It didn't come from somebody's septic system.
And one of the things that's keeps coming up is who, you know, is going to be responsible for the testing, and this is kind of in advance of the meeting, but I don't know that, personal feelings, I don't know that lake management wants to be
No,
started with that. It's out of our wheelhouse.
well,
It
and the other
belongs to
thing,
the health department.
the health department is doing the testing they're currently required to do.
Right.
And that's all
And-
they're gonna do.
You know, and the question is, do we, bigger town, we want to have more testing done than is legally required? And Thank-
Let me mention CRC and the members definitely want more testing done when it's indicated. And CRC is offered to help out and also to help pay for things for the
Yep.
testing.
so I think that's reasonable, and I think it would be good for us to have that combined meeting.
Yeah,
Actually be great if we have somebody from CRC there who can
Yes.
pipe up.
absolutely.
Because you know, right away I can think of some ideas there. And, you know, once we've got a test protocol and a test lab that we're comfortable with, then the road's paved. You know what to do. You know, when you're kind of starting from scratch, well, what do you do? Where do you collect the sample? Where do you send it? You know, so if we just have the whole thing set up, then it becomes very calm. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, we detected this, now we're going to do this test.
Pretty much what we did for flooding,
Right,
you know, we have a protocol.
right.
I'd like to mention that CRC would like to be involved in this meeting too. I've been talking with
That's right.
Doug. And I think it would be good to have a CRC member there as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I just said. Yep. Yep.
Dick, this is Mike DeBay. I think one of the things that's got to come out of here tonight, Dick, you have to make sure that we have either a reminder on the December meeting or January, because if that meeting hasn't taken place, then we got to push it along to make sure it takes place. Because last summer, the biggest problem was the lack of information
Right.
and nobody knew anything. And then
Right.
that left all the questions, and then it runs rampant and everybody comes up with great, you know, worst
Right.
case scenarios. And you don't want that. You have to have a clean answer going out.
And Doug is the driver for it.
And I've sent an email to Doug twice and haven't heard anything yet.
Yeah, it'll get dropped if we don't make sure it happens.
I
That's
think
all.
the objective should be, by the time the spring hits, you know, by the time, let's say by ice out, let's call it April 1st. Let's just, which is past ice out. By April
appropriate.
1st, we should have this all sewn up. In other
Yep.
words, this is what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to do it. And, you know, so that there's no, you know, there's no fire drill.
Actually,
Let's
we
sew it up.
need it before that, because the budget process that we always go to is in February. So
Yeah.
we need to have dollars in mind, you know, scoped. It doesn't have to be $4.23. It has to be, all right, we need 10K, 20K, 50K, whatever number.
Yeah, so long as we don't go what I would consider nuts, I think a few $1,000s will cover it. It's just, you know, if somebody wants to really go, you know, go off the deep end, we can spend a lot more.
And that real
But,
fast.
you know, but I think a few $1,000s would cover it. So it's not, you know, it's not going to break somebody's budget. And
But it has to be in the budget.
yeah, but I
But
think
it'll give us the answers we want.
happen. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I got a question, Eric. If you have E. coli on the beach today and you're tested for today, are we testing tomorrow to see if it's gone?
see, here's the issue.
That's what happened last year. It's
Right,
like-
so here's the
open.
issue. It's a certainty thing.
Yeah.
There's no way to have certainty, because
Right.
you could test today and be below the line,
Right,
and that doesn't mean that 4 hours from now, you're still below the line.
yeah, I
And we
agree
can
with you.
test over here in front of Town Beach, and that doesn't mean that in front of your house, it's not different.
That's why I made the analogy.
Right,
I
so
think that's a big problem with it.
So part of the perspective that to kind of keep in mind for everybody is, it's not like E. coli is a new thing that never existed. Okay? Lake's been around a long time, been swimming in it a long time, and it's not like this has been some giant huge problem. And then the other point, when Ken and I were talking about it, that he made is, you know, a couple of things. One, the standard is kind of a strange standard, because even when you're above there, this very few people would get sick. And in general, the sickness you're going to get from this is not like a life-threatening illness.
Right.
So, you know, we should try and keep everything in perspective.
Can we track it, Eric? Can you track where it's coming from by doing tests and certain tests that would track it back?
No, what you can do is you can tell from, there's a test you can do that costs more, that will tell you what critter this came from.
I get that, but I'm wondering if you can follow it if it's a sewer, let's say, or
It
you
doesn't,
can't follow it.
it doesn't go a long distance, because oxygen kills it. Like, it's not
Yep.
going to go across the lake. You know, could it go
Okay.
down the shore a little ways? Yeah, it could, but it's not going to go like all the way down the shore. You know, it's not that kind of distance.
And isn't it also, Eric, isn't it also a function of temperature? The higher the temperature, the faster the little suckers grow.
Oh, sure, yeah, no, they like it warm. No, but the point, I guess my point here is, I think it would be a good idea to have the meeting you're describing. Yes, let's make sure CRC is there, because CRC may step in to help, which would be a great thing. And while we're doing this, we'll just kind of try and keep things in perspective.
Yep.
You can imagine spending thousands of dollars sampling all over the lake. And then the answer is, oh, and so it's low. So you tell me, so the lake's now sensitive, so it's safe to swim for the whole year? No.
Okay, so people just need to know parameters, Eric.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. People just need to know parameters. Once we get the protocol set up, then we communicate it effectively and people will not be going nuts.
Keep it simple.
The only thing that we do need to kind of face is, if what people are asking for is absolute certainty, we have no way to deliver that.
Never get that.
Right.
It's like Dick is the ice safe question.
Okay.
The way to know is when you break through, it wasn't.
Yep. And we've had plenty of that.
Okay. All right.
All right.
So
Sounds good.
The capital R, which is responsibility, rests with the Board of Selectmen
Okay.
to pull it together.
Yep.
Well, we
Dave
also
will-
need to keep bumping them.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
One
Let's not-
quick question.
Fire drill.
One quick question, since it wasn't mentioned. Where do we stand right now? I'll be back from Florida on the 19th. Just curious, where does the canal stand? Were we able to clean out the debris in front of the weir gates?
DPW cleared, yeah.
Yep.
They went down and with potato hooks and the backhoe and got all the debris out of there. Mike and Malcolm and Eric, I don't know who else has been down there recently, but last I heard, we were okay.
We
It
were
was
there
clear as of the
yesterday.
beginning of this week, Dick, and it was flowing out fine. And the
Okay.
water levels at 224 feet, 4.5 inches. So it's
Good.
fine.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
excellent. That's really good news.
Thank
Do
you.
you have anything else?
Nope.
I'll
Nope.
make a motion, we close the meeting.
Okay,
I'll second it. Scotty, I'll second it.
second it, Scotty.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Have a-
Abstained?